that everybody is aware of how the prospect interacts with the online leasing platform, and ultimately that's going to help you in terms of being able to guide them through any issues that they might run into should it be the case. So after they've landed on the Rent Cafe website and they've made a decision to go ahead and lease, we're going to go ahead and see the floor plans that are available. And essentially it's going to let them know, you know, do they have to contact you for availability? They can automatically be added to the wait list, or if we actually have a floor plan available, they can at that point in time just click on availability. This is also going to give them the opportunity to see your unit availability in pretty much live feed here, and they can just click select when they're ready to go. And the platform is really nice. One thing I really like to iterate is if they have any issues as they're going through this, there's a lot of data entry. They have the ability to contact you via email or actually call you. So if you have the opportunity to speak to the prospect before they actually jump on to lease online, go ahead and let them know these resources are available and they're easy to access. So that way, if they're frustrated or having any issues, they can reach out to you easily, and you can go ahead and guide them through any concerns they might have. Otherwise, we're going to see the basic leasing information when the apartment is available, lease term and rent. So none of this should be a surprise to them. And then we're also going to have our price option here if they want to go ahead and lease for anything less, or if available, more than 12 months. So once they're ready to go, we're going to go ahead and actually click on Start Application here. And it's going to essentially ask for their email, password, security question, first, last name, phone number. There's actually a box here that confirms that they're not a robot, and then some terms and conditions. If they have any issues with the I'm not a robot or CAPTCHA issue, just keep in mind, just if you can preface it, if not, you know, it might be part of your troubleshooting portion of your leasing process there, and you can always reach out to either the help desk or myself and we can see what's going on. All of this information is necessary to enter. And it's going to check and see if the email address is registered. If for any reason it is, registered or they're a duplicate applicant, Shaka in a little bit is going to go over what we've done to work around that situation there. Also, the password needs to be, I believe, 10 characters with 1 uppercase and 1 symbol, and then actual numbers involved too. So you'll see if I enter it incorrectly, then it's not going to let me push through. So that's another thing you might want to be aware of there. All right. And we'll see if this, let's see here. Sometimes we're lucky enough. There we go. So this is essentially what the prospect is going to see is it's just going to verify that they're not a robot by asking them to select all the squares with the street sign. And then once you click on the terms and conditions, it's just going to pull up the terms and condition between Yardi and Blue Moon. So they'll just click accept when they're ready to go. And then we'll go ahead and register. There we go. I messed it up. Here we go. So the password needs to be a minimum of 10 characters long and contain 1 lowercase, uppercase, number, and symbol. So it looks like I didn't enter it correctly the first time. Let's try this again. My favorite thing to do is mess that password up. Awesome. So on the left-hand side here, the applicant can see where they are in terms of the application process. And once again, they still have the option to email or call you with any questions. They can log out from here, check out their profile. We want to always, and I know you guys know this, but we want to always make sure that we're letting them know to go ahead and fill this information out to the best of their ability. It's going to pull the information from Rent Cafe into the Blue Moon application site, which we'll see in just a second here. And we're just going to go ahead and enter some information. And the reason it's important is to go through all these steps is in some cases when you check information, for instance, this employment status, if we were to click retired, there we go. If we click employed, now we're going to see that fields are required. And if we go to student, now those fields are no longer required. So we really want them to go through and check each box and make sure they're filling it out to the best of their ability. And we'll work through this section here. All right. And there's a section for previous employment information if they need to add that. Your community most likely will have guidelines according to how long they need to be at their employment before they'll need to enter previous employment information. Then we have our screening information, including date of birth. Now we see here we have an option if your prospect doesn't have a social security number, you can click no, and that will no longer require the SSN field. And then this is just supplemental for your screening purposes, including have they been evicted, have they been convicted of a felony, the ID that they're using, and then if they have any criminal charges pending. And then after that, we've got some terms and conditions that are specific to Rent Cafe, and then acknowledging that they're by submitting the application that they're just going to verify the information is correct and actually pay application fees. There's the option to add pets if necessary, including pet type, weight, age, color, breed, and name. And then below here we have another option to add additional pets if necessary. There's also a nice warning here, so if there are any pet restrictions for any reason, they're prefaced during the Rent Cafe application process. And then vehicle. And then they can add up to 4 additional vehicles by just selecting the hyperlink on the bottom here. And then finally, emergency contact. And then they're going to go ahead and just click Save and Continue here. And they have the opportunity to add any occupants under the age of 18. Otherwise, they'll go ahead and just click Continue. Now, this is going to drop them into the Blue Moon application. We're going to see here that it automatically pulls up the NAA application on my test site. So I understand that we're using the Georgia-specific form. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. Just a quick note, always let your prospect know, if possible, that they have 20 minutes to complete this form, and if they don't complete it, it's going to time out the session, and then they'll have to enter the information again. So we don't want that to happen to them. So we'll take a quick look here. So everybody is going to, first let's take a look at the actual blank application. So this is the GAA blank application. We're essentially, when we go through this, we're going to see the personal information, other occupants and pets, rental history, employment, automobile, contact, banking references, credit information, other source of income or support, mandatory screening questions, and then we have the indemnity section of the application. And then what I'm going to show you, the application process is actually going to jump from page 3 to 5. So I just wanted to show you page 4 is just management use only. It's just documentation on your applicant and information that you're going to use for screening purposes. So you're just not going to see this information on the Blue Moon section I'm going to show you here. And then page 5 is going to be the actual credit information. So on your end, when you're actually looking at it, it's going to look like this. You're going to see the actual GAA forms online, and it's going to show you the leasing information, personal information, occupants, rental history, and then page 2, kind of the flow that we just saw in the PDF prior to: employment history, automobile, contact persons, banking, credit, other income, and mandatory screening questions. And then you've got page 3, which is the applicant's contract. Page 4 was what I mentioned was missing, and that's the management use area. And then we've got our credit card information here. So just real quickly, taking a look at that, for leasing information, it's basically going to ask for, it's going to automatically populate the apartment number, lease term, the date of visit, move-in date requested. As far as I'm aware, all of this is editable. The apartment type and rental rate. You're also going to have the application fee, deposit, pet deposit, non-refundable fees, security deposit, and other non-refundable fees if applicable. Personal information is literally that. It's going to pull in first, last, middle name for your applicant if they've entered that, birth date, social security number, driver's license information, phone number, and email. We're also looking at the co-applicant in terms of their relationship, U.S. Armed Forces or Reserves, if there are any other additional names, any other places they were born, father and mother's date of birth, and then reason for moving. And then at the very bottom, sorry, I cut it off here, how they learned about the community, their source of learning about the community. Then we have other occupants, pets, or service animals. So you can go ahead, if they had entered the information, it'd be located. Otherwise, you can enter the information here. The rental history information, including previous resident. We've got the current employer along with the previous employer. Vehicle information, once again, up to 4 vehicles. We've got our contact people, basically family members other than spouse is listed. Banking reference information, checking account, savings account, and then address of the bank. Credit card information. Other income. Mandatory screening questions. So if you've ever been evicted or defended in eviction action, basically do you have a debt from against another landlord, felony questions, basically qualifying questions. So this you might not typically see on the NAA lease that you're seeing here. And then the applicant's contract, basically the fair housing, good faith, how your deposit's being used, rental application decisions, so on and so forth. And then finally, their credit card information, if they actually entered that there. So you'll have that on page 5 as well. So between the GAA and NAA, just so you're not confused, the test platform I'm going through has the NAA platform, and I just showed you your platform, the GAA. So that's the only reason I just had to switch over just so you can see the differences. Yours is going to look a little bit different from this, but we're going to go ahead and work on this so we can continue the lease flow. Let me know if you have any questions or if any of that was confusing. And we can see here how the information pulls into Blue Moon from Rent Cafe depending on what they've entered. So we'll just kind of take a quick look here. You can enter previous information, and then they can just click continue. And then we have you're presently employed. Once again, information is populating from the Rent Cafe website into Blue Moon here. And if they need to enter previously employed information, they have the opportunity. Credit and history information here. They'll have the opportunity to list whether or not they've been evicted, declared bankruptcy, sued for rent, property damage, or if they've been convicted of a felony, misdemeanor, along with the opportunity to explain what that is if they decide to do so. And then if they do have a spouse, they'll have the option to go ahead and enter their spouse information along with their employer information as well. I'm going to spare you guys the data entry boringness here. And then other occupants. Anybody under the age of 18 that will occupy the unit without actually signing the lease. And you can enter, you've got 3+, I believe you can go up to or 3 total is what we have on here. Let me see here. Yeah. And it's just going to ask for basic information on those occupants. And then your vehicles, you can enter, you have option for 3 here. I believe you can have 4 total. Who referred you, and then how they found out about you, which obviously is important. We want to make sure that they're filling this information out so you can determine what advertising sources are working the best for you. emergency contact, and then basically the information that they've already established, what they're looking to rent, and then their price range here. They have to click I read and accept the terms of the application agreement. Excuse me. They can go ahead and click on this. I'm not, because it will take me into a different screen. And then they actually have to type in their information here, as though it's a signature. And then if they had a spouse that was there, they would actually go ahead and fill this information out as well. We'll go ahead and click continue. They can go ahead and add emergency information here, medical information, anything that they're willing to volunteer, doctor's information and phone number. And then there's a little box right here we just have to make sure they remember to fill out, which is the daytime phone number, along with any comments or requests they might have. They have another opportunity before they send the application to go ahead and communicate with you here. If there are no issues on their end, they'll go ahead and click send application now. I had a little bit of a hiccup here. Hopefully it won't happen again. Okay. Shaka, I might need your help here in showing the actual payment process of the application. For some odd reason, it continues to think that I've submitted the application. So going through the rest of this, just so you guys can see, and I apologize, it's going to give you additional rental options. It's going to have your application charges, your lease summary, and your lease creation as well. So it's going to go ahead and give you some additional options. I'm not entirely sure why our site is giving us some issues right now, but it moves you through the entire process and allows your resident to go ahead and actually pay. Oh, here, 1 second here. Give me 1 second. All right, you're unmuted.
Okay, great. Thank you. So yeah, so at this point, the application is not submitted. It just gives them a message that the Blue Moon part is complete. But when you click continue, that's when you will see, other options. So the next page is, oh, look at that.
Yeah, sorry, I should have clicked continue.
Okay, no, it's all right. Well, why would do that? We looked at the application charges the other day. Oh, interesting. I am checking that for you right here. Okay. But it's supposed to show you the charges page on this.
Yeah, exactly. I apologize, everybody. I appreciate your patience.
Okay. So while you're doing that, while I'm, also looking in the back end, is there anything else you want to cover?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and just continue to move forward through the process if it's okay, and then we can just have you come back and take a look. Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah,
Perfect.
that sounds good. And I also wanted to show that, two-profile user, like if you're applying at another property, but you already have a Rent Cafe account.
Oh, yes. Do you want me to go ahead and give you presenter mode right now?
Yes, please. That would be great.
All
I think
right.
this is the right point to do that.
Perfect.
Okay. Let me know when you see my screen.
Still waiting on my end.
Okay.
Here we go.
Okay. Great. So everyone, there are and people apply at a community. Let's say someone started their application at Richland Falls, and they registered online and they, filled out their application, and a few things happened, and now they want to apply at a different community. or they are already applying at some other company, like a totally different company, not that fast, and now they come in here and they're applying for your community. What happens in this case? Because their account is already there with Rent Cafe, and we don't want any duplicates in there, so what do we do in that case? So right now, an example is that this person is registered at Richland Falls. I'm going to log in as them. This is my example that I created yesterday, and just for this demo purposes. And I am registered, and I log in Richland Falls, and I have completed my application information form. And at this point, I feel I don't want to rent at this apartment. I'm instead interested in Village. Sorry, the Spring Hill Village apartment community. So I go to their website. Let me open that right here. Okay, here it is. So this one is the test. We have a test community. Villages at Spring Hill, and I want to apply here. So I go to the floor plans page, and I'm going to look for some apartments here, and I find one available, Plan D, and this is the one I'm interested in. Now do remember that I've already applied at Richland Hills, so I do have a Rent Cafe account. So I look at all these terms and conditions, I like everything, and I click on Start Application. It asks me to register, and I would be like, I'll just go ahead and put in my email address. And the moment I'll do that, it's going to recognize that I already have an account with Rent Cafe, and it will just ask me to go ahead and enter my password. So I'll enter the same password. So in order to avoid the duplicates in Steadfast's database, it does recognize that an account is already there, and all I need to do is enter my password, confirm that I'm not a robot, agree to terms and conditions, and then log in. And as soon as I log in, I am able to go forward and complete the application for this new community. So again, there are no duplicates created, and we can use the same Rent Cafe account to apply at different communities. You do not have to create like different accounts at different communities. So this is what I want to demo. If anyone has any questions about it, please let me know.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much.
No problem. And Justin, I'll spend some time here to figure out that payment issue while you go forward with the
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Sure.
All right, let's come back here. All right, so if that had worked seamlessly like we had hoped it would have, from there you'd receive emails indicating that the application has been completed, and I believe emails when the prospect has actually paid as well. And then from the team member point of view, once you've seen that, then you know to go ahead and go into Yardi. The best way to locate that application is under pending applications. You can actually just click on the hyperlink, and the only time that you won't notice it there is if they submitted a waitlist application, in which case you can check either waitlist or your prospect pipeline to see everything. We'll go ahead and just click on pending applications here. Now, James Bay would have popped up here typically, so once again I apologize for the confusion. And then the screening results actually wouldn't be there as well. Let me see if I've got another. So basically, you'd have the typical workflow that you're used to, that you'd work through now. Up to this point, the prospect is filling out their information, submitting their application, and now you have all the information you need to go ahead and screen the prospect and work through your prospect workflow here as well. Go. Now, the difference we're talking about, actually, this is going to be the same. Once we've gone ahead and approved the application here, we're going to have the Blue Moon option here. We're going to go ahead and click on that. And this is going to here, we're going to see the NAA lease here. With the Georgia form, you're going to actually see this. So this is going to pop up. Your lease terms are going to pop up. Now we're basically going to have the option of working through our lease flow and making sure that the lease is correct, everything is pulled over correctly from Yardi. And the GAA online form is a little different from the NAA. So we've got the lease between owner or agent for the owner, rental contract type, whether it's affordable or market rate. And it's imperative that all of our team members are going through each of these entry fields. And we're not trying to, while we're sure that Yardi is pulling the information over, we want to make sure that we're going over everything and it all looks correct, because this is a lease that you're going to then print out and execute from there. So we want to make sure it looks all correct. You've got your lease terms, your security deposit, and once again, you're just looking. You know, we know that your non-renewal time frame is 60 days, and we have to give 60-day notice, but we want to make sure that it's all pulling in correctly. Your special stipulations. Rent concessions and insurance. Making sure that if you are offering any concessions, that it's pulling in correctly or you're entering it. Pet information. You've got your lead hazard, asbestos, utility billing addendum. So this would probably look a little, this would look different if you're used to the NAA lease than the GAA. We've got your service billing addendum. Smoke-free. Parking information. Storage area lease information. Washer dryer if there's a lease on it. And finally, your access addendum, be it if you have alarms on your apartment homes or any additional access information that you might need. So essentially, when you go through your GAA lease here, you're going to go through each section. We're just going to make sure all the fields are correct or entered as necessary. And then once that's been completed, you'll click on View Print Menu here, and it's going to ask if you wish to continue, and you do. And this is just because, once again, I didn't do the complete data entry throughout the entire lease, so it's going to pop up some administrative warnings to let you know, hey, the following information needs to be entered if you haven't already done so. So once again, just to reiterate, from the GAA aspect, you don't actually have clicks. We're going to see clicks here. You don't need to worry about that. We have the forms that are specifically selected that are locked. If there are any issues with this, or you need to add or make any changes, you'll talk to your manager, and we can do that at the corporate level if necessary. Most importantly, we want to make sure request e-signature is complete and clicked. After we've gone through everything, we're going to go ahead and click Preview. We want to make sure we're taking one last look at this lease before we send it out, because if it's a legal document, we want to make sure that everything is correct, dates, lease terms, rent amount. So you have the option to go ahead and take a quick look. If for any reason you see any issues, you can just go ahead and click out of Preview and click Return to Editor to bring you back, so you can go ahead and make your changes if necessary. After you've reviewed Preview, if everything looks correct and you've clicked Request e-signature, you're now going to go ahead and click Print Selected Forms. Oops. Well, there you go. We have to enter that information for leave. Where are you? Bam. Here we go. So if you do not enter this information, even if you're in test, it's going to make you go ahead and enter it there. And then click Save. We're going to head to View Print menu. We're going to go ahead and give this another try here. And then we are going to go ahead and make sure, I'm changing the emails to my email address, but for the owner and representative, we want to make sure that your information is automatically going to populate there. You don't need to worry about that. And then make sure you've verified the resident's email address, because the email for initiating the e-signature is going to go to this actual email address here. So once you've verified, you're just going to go ahead and click Initiate e-signature request. And we'll take a look here. Just give it a quick second. And we're going to initially see this email that just verifies that the confirmation has been made, and the electronic signature is going to go in the order of Michael and then myself. Michael is going to receive a similar looking email here. One second. We'll just give it a quick second for that signature email to, here we go. So real quickly, if they automatically click here, it's not going to take them to where they need to e-sign. So we just need to make sure, if we're coaching them, that the second hyperlink, proceed to e-signature process, is what's going to take them to the actual e-signature section here. And it's going to go ahead and give them a consumer disclosure. So they actually, if you see here, you can't actually click it until we go through this process and actually read it. Then we can click Agree. And then they'll click I understand, continue. And they'll fill out their information. Now there's a sign option here. So if you're using a touch screen, you can actually physically sign and initial yourself there by using the signature box and the initial box here. Otherwise, if you're not using a touch screen or just prefer to type, you can just click type and it will create a signature for you. And we'll just go to save and continue. And then just some instructions on how the process works. So this is really nice. It's going to really educate your prospect on how this process works here. And then we can go ahead and basically see how it works just by clicking into those areas. And now they have the opportunity to take their time, go through the lease, make sure everything looks correct on their end. And the program will prompt them as to where to sign. And it's pretty clear cut, so they'll be able to see where to sign. And it's just as simple as clicking into that area. Then next. And pretty much the same thing with each addendum. They'll go through, make sure everything looks correct, and click in the necessary area. And also the date will come when necessary as well. And we'll just work through this. I apologize for scrolling so quickly. So pretty simple process, really convenient, easy to use, and really reduces use of paper, makes it much faster for the resident to go ahead and review and sign and make that connection and get your lease executed. Almost done here. And then they have the option here, if they want a printed copy of their lease, they can check this box. If they don't, they can uncheck it. And then this is going to create an alert for you to let you know that they want a printed copy as well. And once they're done, they can go ahead and they'll be prompted. They agree to show the owner or representative a valid government issued ID photo before keys are distributed for an extra step to verifying who they are. But they'll go ahead and complete the lease contract from here. And they can go ahead and download this. And then on your end, as the team member, you should then receive contact. Here we go. So this will verify what has happened here, that they went ahead and signed it, and it's just going to kind of keep you abreast of what's going on. And the prospect is also going to receive this information as well. All right. Here we go. So after they went ahead and signed the lease, if we go to Manage e-signatures from our actual Blue Moon desktop here, we can see now that Michael has executed the lease here, and you can simply click Execute here. We have a drop down, so you can also click Delete if you want to. We'll click Execute. And now the lease package is ready to be executed. So you're essentially going to go ahead and sign it as well. This is your notification that they require a physical copy. So if they went ahead and checked that box, you can see it now. Otherwise, you'll type in your information here and click Execute Lease Now. And then you can view the lease package here. So just to show you, now we have the resident's signature and the owner's signature. So the lease is fully executed at this point in time. So the final step, and this is new, is we want to actually save this executed lease into Yardi now. So we'll go ahead and click Save here. And I would suggest saving somewhere easy, usually your desktop, where you can find the file again. You'll need to browse for it. And we'll go back into Yardi. So now the lease has been e-signed and executed. The manager has gone in and signed it on their end. We've provided the resident with a copy now, and we've actually executed the lease, so we can go ahead and click Execute Lease. And now the next step we want to take is we want to go into Data and then Attachment. So that's Data, Attachment. And this is going to allow us to actually save a copy of the executed lease in Yardi. So we'll click Upload. And now we have the option to browse for up to 3 files. We'll click Browse. And then this is the lease we saved to the desktop that's executed. And we'll click Upload. And you'll see it says successfully uploaded as Bay lease, so you can go ahead and close once it's done that. And now we can see it here. And our final step is check the web links box here and go ahead and click Save. And that is the entire process from start to finish. Does anybody have any questions on how that works? Did